Jim Cramer has been on CNBC for how long? 20 years? As many of you know, he's a commentator and he's been spewing forth his opinions for that entire time. And anyone who's followed him knows that he is the king of giving bad advice and saying idiotic things, which he does repeatedly. So I finally took it upon myself here that I decided on this channel I am going to do the definitive collection of some of Jim Cramer's worst advice and most ridiculous opinions. So I hope you enjoy it. Give me some comments in the comments below. So here it is, without further ado.
Oh, by the way, subprime of the actual lending thing is completely meaningless. I am now saying that if every loan in 2006 that was subprime blew up, 500 billion, if they all blew up, it would not, you would still not notice. I'd say that 2/3 of that mortgage paper was placed overseas. Germany's up 25%. It's just a drop in the bucket. What do people think that this stuff is all being taken down by Bank of America? It has no relevance whatsoever. In fact, the actual CDO, the actual tranching of this stuff is the reason why there's no impact, because it's been divided and split among so many different entities that no one entity is really being hurt other than the dumb guy who ran Bear Stearns, who was smart before this, obviously. So, I mean, this is an issue that people want to really, really make, just a gigantic hill out of what I think is a molehill. Okay, Peter writes, should I be worried about Bear Stearns in terms of liquidity and get my money out of there? No, no, no. Bear Stearns is fine. Do not take your money out. This is really, look, if there's one takeaway other than the plus 400 somebody, Bear Stearns is not in trouble. I mean, if anything, they're more likely to be taken over. Don't move your money from Bear. That's just being silly. Don't be silly. Don't be silly. Don't be silly.
Don't be silly.
And then the crisis spread to one of Wall Street's biggest and most respected firms.
Not since the Great Depression has the federal government stepped in to help a failing financial institution in this country the way they did over this past weekend.
Panic selling has brought Bear Stearns, an investment bank, to its knees.
Why wasn't I on it? My employees, my shareholders, creditors, clients have taken a huge amount of pain. I wake up every single night thinking, what could I have done differently? This is a pain that will stay with me for the rest of my life. That's all.
And there's a phenomenal opportunity to leapfrog over the lack of effective conventional infrastructure in the same way that cell phones did to landlines, to make it possible to begin to build something that can serve people in a decentralized context.
And just one last question. To me, it's reasonable to compare you, I usually don't do this, to Steve Jobs and what he did for computing. I regard you as a visionary, next generation person. Is this the kind of ridiculous pressure that nobody needs?
You know, Steve Jobs was, I don't think there is another Steve Jobs. He was a phenomenal entrepreneur. We've got an incredible opportunity to try to uphold a legacy in Silicon Valley of changing the world. And
disrupting the world.
We're working 24/7 to do it.
Well, I understand that's exactly how you work. That's Elizabeth Holmes. She's the Theranos founder and CEO. Congratulations on all the success you've had, and I sure hope you win. Normally, when you hear hope springs eternal, it's meant in the most derogatory of ways. Like, you gotta be an idiot to believe anything good can happen. But I'd rather be an idiot who makes money than a genius who misses out on great opportunities. What a great place to begin. Tesla, all right? We ended last week doubting Tesla's ability to make a lot of cars and make a lot of money on them after the recall. Then this weekend, we discovered that Tesla's made more than 300,000 cars in the fourth quarter and that it made a ton of money per car. It didn't take long for the rigorous doubters to pounce. One analyst with a sell on the stock had to take up his price target by a few points from $250 to $295. But wake that Rip Van Winkle up. Tesla trades at 1,200, up 143 points today. The oft-quoted Tony Sacconaghi from Bernstein chided that Tesla's being valued at $1 million per car. That kind of analysis drives me crazy. Anyone who's been in this business for a long time knows that stock prices are often disconnected from the underlying enterprise. Now, I'm sure Tony's right about the math. I mean, the current Tesla stock price per car is overvalued. But that's only one way, and obviously from the rise in the stock up 13% today, it's the wrong way. Why? There is an arbiter. It doesn't make you money. And that, not being clever, is what this business is really about. It's a big reason why I created the Charitable Trust, which is now part of CNBC Investing Club. I want to teach you these things. Tesla's not being valued by units. It's being valued as a tech company, one that's run by a truly visionary CEO. While other automakers are struggling to get their electric vehicles off the ground, Elon Musk doesn't even need to advertise his cars. He's even opening an auto plant in Berlin to go head-to-head with the Germans. None of this was supposed to happen. According to the bears, Tesla was supposed to run out of money years ago. They were supposed to have construction problems and high turnover and problems with the Chinese regulators. They certainly weren't supposed to turn a profit, let alone triumph over the chip shortage. But these worries just did not come to pass. Instead, Tesla's on track to make more than 1 million cars this year and make big money on every single one of them. Hope sprang eternal, and you had to bet with it, not against it. J.P. Morgan of this generation, Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX,
yes,
is slashing everybody's margin, and average fees per transaction across the industry have declined by 50%. A lot of that is the man, Sam Bankman-Fried. Today, some good notes about Facebook and Reels. I continue to believe in my contacts at Facebook that Reels is going to blow everybody away, and that this stock, which my Charitable Trust owns, by the third quarter is going to put up great numbers, and people who are selling it now are going to be very wrong. Let me say this about this. I made a mistake here. I was wrong. I trusted this management team. That was ill-advised. Hubris here is extraordinary. And I apologize.
Okay. What did you get wrong?
I had a belief that there was a recognition that there is an amount that you can't spend. Contrast that, for instance, with Jim Farley, who took a project that was his, Argo, and closed it because it was not ready. It was not near enough. This situation is almost a rogue situation. I had thought there would be an understanding that you just can't spend and spend right through your free cash flow. That there had to be some level of discipline, and I didn't get it. But David, what did I get wrong? I trusted them, not myself. The ninth best performer year to date is SVB Financial. Don't yawn. This company's a merchant bank with a deposit base that Wall Street had been mistakenly concerned about. SVB, it's the old Silicon Valley Bank, has always been a very good business. Recently bought one of our favorite research firms, Moffett-Nathanson, and it's become less dependent upon private equity and venture capitalist offerings. Wait a second. Those dried up last year, they could come back. Yes, some of them come back here with the stock directly reflects an oversold position. In the blast zone, stock was the fourth worst performer in 2022. I think the fears were not justified, and it's a very compelling situation. Hey, by the way, Stock's still cheap. Long-term private equity and venture capital, they're not going away. Being the banker to these immense pools of capital has always been a very good business. This is one of those where why don't we wait until we see? I mean, we got a couple of minutes. I've learned enough in my lifetime that if I have to wait 11 minutes for an answer, I'd rather wait 11 minutes. Stock's still cheap. I actually see it as a cool hand Luke problem. As in, what we got here is a failure to communicate. Has always been a very good business. SVB downplayed that it was getting killed on its bond portfolio each time the Fed raised interest rates. The bank didn't signal that it had too many bad loans. They were backed up in stock. Stock's still cheap. In startups that haven't been able to come public because there's no appetite for IPOs when the Fed's tightened aggressively. It should have been raising money like crazy for months, like some of the other banks out there. I think SVB is pretty similar to what happened to Penn Square roughly 40 years ago. This was a reckless bank that made a ton of loans against then the red-hot commodity of oil. Some people call it geometry. So to make it clear, the collapse of SVB has huge ramifications beyond the tech world. But I actually think the biggest impact is that it'll be the thing that keeps the Fed from wrecking the entire economy. Far from over, because the most overheated part of this economy has already been frozen. It's short-term bad, but longer-term, I will tell you, very, very good. Unless you live and work in the blast zone, or you bank at Silicon Valley Bank.
So the body of work of Jim Cramer's terrible recommendations, ridiculous viewpoints on virtually everything under the sun, and imbecilic recommendations is too vast to cover in any one video. What I've tried to do is provide just the high points of his most recent and historical epic fails, and I hope that I've done that for you on this video. If this video does well, maybe I'll do a second installment. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.